Um, I've been asked to speak on public-private partnerships in combating this whole problem of malnutrition. And I sort of would play with the title and speak probably about, public-private people participation and say that this is actually an issue that goes beyond just private sector and the state trying to do something together. So I have a very unusual way of talking about this issue because it's been dealt in the usual way. I would like to start by saying that as far as I'm concerned, this issue is very much like the film Sholay. I grew up seeing that many times, and I'm sure most of you have seen that more than once. The word Sholay means embers. To me, the issue of malnutrition is like embers. They just not become a full fire. It's like a volcano that is yet to be erupted. Unfortunately, if it was an actual volcano which disrupted, flights, we would have all known about it. It's not even doing that. It's just lying somewhere in the villages like embers, and so it's not written about. So the issue to me is also that it's also been like the movie in the box office. It ran something like 5 to 6 years on the dot, and I think this has been an issue last 5 to 6 decades on the top in terms of extent of the damage done, and we've not been able to solve. So to me, my favorite line used to be that, it's because there is really no disagreement on the issue. Everybody agrees that it's a problem. So we can't have a fight, we can't have a debate, and therefore nothing is probably done. But I should say that I'm trying to contextualize few things about how to address this, how there are some solutions that we've already seen in large scale based on the little body of work that we did, whether it's feeding children, or running 1,000-odd Anganwadis in tribal areas, or even lessons that we got from working with corporates like Britannia, for instance, when we did the fortified biscuits, or the not-for-profit GAIN that helped us in getting the fortification happen in a big way in the meals, or just talking to poor people as part of daily life. So it's more speaking on behalf of those people who are probably what you can call as the affected people of this problem that we are discussing, that I'm trying to say. To me, the first issue on the problem is we really don't know where these children are. And I think the universal identification program that Nandan Nilekani is doing now and is talked about needs a phase 1, which is to identify where these children are. Where are these 0 to 5 children in this country? The NFHS3 data, 6 years old, has state-wise data of where these kids are. We need district, probably block, and if possible, even village-wise. I think we are living in a time where each one of us is tagged. We are debating on BlackBerry security access issues, and I think it's a time where we have enough technology and resources to figure out where these kids are. Let's tag each one of them, find them out, and give them what they need, which is probably nutritious food. So to me, a UID for all these kids is one solution that we need to address. I'm not sure whether this program will do it, but I think that is definitely something that should be there as part of a solution. And we are making a modest attempt, trying to include everyone from the private sector to the government, to the civil society movement, to the media, to try and do a survey in 100 districts, the poorest 100 districts, and try and see if we can tag them. If we have it, we'll have it as open source, of course, and hopefully that will lead to just starting a habit of knowing where these children are living. Very popular actress for the uninitiated was even in the dinner talk yesterday, was eponymous with a hurricane in the US. To me, fundamentally, we need a hurricane-like solution for this. We need nutrition to go beyond even a national conference. As far as I'm concerned, it has to be emergency part 2. 1975, we had an emergency. I think we need a nutritional emergency to be declared. I mean, if 48% of the kids are undernourished, and I'm not the best in statistics. Even the last session had my friend Rao speak about statistics more eloquently and more credibly. So I think we need something of that level to catch the imagination of the nation. I think everyone in the village to the Prime Minister need to make this as something which is part of everyday lingo. I think we did that some time ago when we did the Pulse Polio campaign. It caught up the imagination of the country. I think it's time nutrition or malnutrition catches the imagination of the country. Till that happens, I don't think we will solve this issue. And to take on my earlier refrain of the fact that, it's a volcano and there is no disagreement, to me the issue is also that it's a non-communicable disease. I sometimes wish it was a communicable disease, like swine flu, like bird flu, dengue. Then we would have all addressed this issue. Media would have given enough attention. Everyone would have been worried about it. And I hoped it came from an aeroplane and it would have been even more important. But it doesn't affect any of us. Nobody has been worried about a malnourished kid coming and hugging you or asking for money because it doesn't infect you. You're always worried about a well-dressed gentleman sitting next to you in the aircraft and coughing because you're worried whether he's giving you swine flu. So the fact that it is not a communicable disease is another problem. I wish it was communicable. So what do we do then? I think we genuinely need confluence. We really need to worry the fact that the solutions have to be addressed differently. I'll specifically mention the fact that since morning people have been lamenting on the issue of implementation. Everybody knows how to do it. Why aren't Anganwadis working? We heard global examples where the Anganwadi equivalent worker to the ratio is 10:1, whereas ours is something like 6,000:1. We didn't even look at per capita intervention cost of solving the problem. What priorities did that nation put in, and was it affordable, and is it affordable in the Indian context if we were to replicate that model? So the issue is we need to find out how can we ensure that the Anganwadi center, for example, and I'm just picking on it as one module of the solution. How do we ensure that they work? I don't think we can do it with the solitary hope of governance getting better. Just to go back to the previous session and the Chhattisgarh government example of PDS. Let me tell you, we work in Chhattisgarh in the heartland of the Maoist belt, better known now, the erstwhile Bastar region, with children, with Anganwadis, with schools. Been doing that for nearly a decade now. The PDS works fundamentally there because it's been made a serious culpable offense if you violate it. It's a non-negotiable as far as a political leadership in this and that state is concerned now. So right up to the guy knows that we have to change our portfolio like corporates would do. I was just talking to Neeraj from Britannia and we were discussing, high margin and low margin biscuits that they sell. So guys have figured out that PDS revenue stream is stopped now. So they found out new revenue streams. Because it's been very clearly mandated, you can't touch this rice for your revenues, period. And that's not done. So if that kind of a political will with that kind of messaging goes right across that this is really shameful, more shameful than I don't know whatever else is a hideous crime, then there is some hope. So to get that kind of messaging from the political leadership on one hand, to civil society, campaigns, NGOs, trial by media on everything that you can think of has happened. I wish we had a trial by media just on how the Anganwadi is working. Is the PDS working? And I tell you, if they really work at it, it can be as sexy as every other trial by media that we've been hearing, including the IPL, which sort of, was there last 3 days, or the one on the match fixing in Pakistan. I think it's time we found some, bites on the whole issue of media trial on these aspects.